It's again a standing room crowd at a most complete recreation center anywhere. It's called Landmark. It's located in Peoria, Illinois. And we're here for the finals of the $210,000 True Value Open, where the winner will get $43,000. Hello again. I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted to be back in this River City. And Peoria has more than coped with a tremendous snowstorm. They always do under their popular mayor. And we have 5 popular players in our finals today. And you're going to see a lot of variety in their styles. So let's meet them as they try to go for that $43,000 first prize. In our first game, the 1991 PBA Player of the Year, David Ozio of Vidor, Texas, will face Eugene McCune of Munster, Indiana. That winner will meet third-seeded Bryan Goebel of Merriman, Kansas. In our semifinal game, we'll see 9-time champion Randy Pedersen of Hollywood, Florida. And our tournament leader already has won 2 of our first 5 stops. He's the tour's yearly earnings leader from Edmond, Norm Duke. What a powerful player he is. My colleague, Nelson Burton Jr., is on the approaches with him at this moment. Bo?
Thank you, Chris Schenkel. The True Value has historically been one of the highest scoring bowling tournaments on the PBA Tour, and this year was no exception. However, one individual supplied most of the fireworks. Check out these scores. Round 1, round 2, round 3 averaged a fabulous 272. 18 games, a 260 average, eclipsing Earl Anthony's record of almost 2 decades. And finally, the 42-game record for the PBA. He beat Tom Baker's record of 247. He averaged 248, and that man is our tournament leader, Norm Duke. And Duke, how did you do it? I mean, everybody says it's impossible.
Well, it was just a dream week, you know. The guys that I was bowling with the first round just kept saying, "Man, something's shining on you," because I was carrying the off hits and everything was going my way, and it just kept going. And I'm just hoping I got one more game left.
Well, 272 average, you can only miss 1 frame in a whole game, but you must have struck every ball.
It seemed that way. It really did. And boy, I just, you know, I'll probably reflect on it in a couple of weeks, but right now it's just, I can't think about it. I got to go over here and finish the job.
1 game left. What's going to happen?
220 is going to be a big game today.
All right. Good luck. He's very confident, Chris, but he's got a tough field to follow, and there's a lot of money at stake.
Certainly is. $43,000 to the winner, $22,500, $13,010, and $8, all in the True Value Open. And here we go. David Ozio on the left, Eugene McCune. Meeting here. Ozio won 16 of his 24 match games. McCune also 16 of 24. Shooting on the left lane, hasn't won since November of 1991. And the man that's won 10 championships crosses over. Leaves the 5-9.
David Ozio, a confidence player. He's a dedicated practicer, practices more than anybody I've ever seen in professional bowling, sometimes up to 200 games a week. And when he feels confident, can play with the best of all times. So he needs to get off to a good start and get that confidence sky high.
So it's a spare for Ozio from Vidor, Texas, 39 years old. And now Eugene McCune, he's the non-winner, and he was 3rd in last week's Bud Light, 5th television appearance for this 25-year-older. Bo gets a little speed on the ball, doesn't he?
The Rocket Man. He's fun to watch.
And he's doing what he said he wanted to do, Nelson. Regulate his speed.
You're right, Chris. As you see his style, he's slightly crouched, an excellent athlete, a lot of whip in his swing, and watch as he comes through the release area. Watch how he keeps his hand underneath the ball, a perfect lift to target. I think you'll find that in most of the players we have in the championship round today. A good lesson to be learned by everyone. Stay underneath that ball, keep the swing inside out.
Robbed 10-10, standing on the left lane.
This is where the fun part of Eugene's game comes into play. As you see him leaving the 10-pin, the ball not quite finishing on the left-hand lane. 6 slides around the 10. Now watch this attempt at the 10 pin, like a bullet.
So strike spare, Eugene McCune, and 5'11" David Ozio is back up, now shooting on the right lane. High hit, leaving the 6-10.
Just a classic style as you watch David Ozio, full swing right on through the pins. Drifts high, leaves the 6-10, cross lane. Avoid the chop, cuts down the hook.
The bass fisherman from Vider. And a very good one, by the way. Same patience that he shows when he practices for this game and when he plays it.
David is excellent from the outside line. He'll be playing just inside the first arrow, walking towards his target line. Very important.
That's his first strike, coming in the third frame. Two professionals that don't waste a lot of time, except Gene McCune takes a little in preparation of not only the soles of his bowling shoes, but getting comfortable with the grip. McCune, Ladies Professional Bowlers Tour competitor and sister of Gene, critiques her brother's ability.
Well, I believe a strong point would be that he has a lot of talent. He goes from throwing the ball very hard and straight to hooking the ball tremendously. And I think his negative points would be that he puts way too much pressure on himself when he needs to make a good shot.
Okay.
So I think if he could just go out there today, relax, have some fun, I think he'd do really well.
All right. It's a big double for her brother. We're in Peoria. It's a 12-pin lead by this man, McCune. And you know, despite the cold weather this week in Peoria, the downtown area displayed its own warm greeting. We're at the championship fair of the bowling center of the Landmark Recreation Center in Peoria, Illinois. David Ozio trails by 12, can cut it to 2 with a strike. For David Ozio, age is not an obstacle now or in the future.
Well, the age of 40 means nothing to me right now. My future is still out here on the tour. I still have a competitive spirit. I still want to win. The desire is still there. I'm in as good a shape as anybody out here to bowl a lot of games. And as long as I can stay competitive, I'm going to stay out here. Afterwards, then I'll drift into the bowling industry, and whenever time tells that I'm supposed to do that. So until now, they've still got to contend with me.
Organized professional, Nelson.
Yes, sir. Closing in on that $1 million in earnings.
10 titles, Player of the Year. When he won the Player of the Year, he had 8 television appearances, winning 4. Now McCune looking for that first national title. He has 2 regionals.
Chris, he's fun to watch. He has that kind of succeed or perish approach to the game of bowling. He's either all or nothing, and he seems really unperturbed about anything. So we'll see what he does in the face of Ozio, a proven champion.
He enjoys card collecting. His most valued card is a Ryan Sandberg rookie card. That's why he throws so hard, as Ryan did.
Hard and straight.
His father, Don McCune, watching, Hall of Famer. I'm sure he liked the fact that his son is strung 4.
Ozio just right around the first arrow, right into the pocket. Excellent, excellent position. Watch the shot.
Three, 6, 10.
The lane that all the players were worried about was the right-hand lane. Right here, David Ozio just pinches on it a little bit, as we say. In other words, pulls it slightly left of target. It drifts high, leaves the 3, 6, and 10 pins remaining. Across lane, he'll straighten the shot out. Needs to clip the 3 on the right. The ball will take out the 6 and 10.
7th, as you saw last week at the Choice Hotels.
Has to be disappointed in that shot. The ball looks like it's in good position halfway down the lane. Just doesn't bite at all on the very back end of the lane. And Chris, for the first time in over 2 years, we haven't cleaned the back ends of the lane the last 15 feet before we went on the air. I don't know if it had an effect, but it might have.
Failing to trip the 4.
The PBA lane maintenance crew feels that with today's modern bowling balls, it's not necessary to clean that back end. So right now, David Ozio may have been victimized by it, but right now, as we say, every shot makes somebody happy, and Eugene's in the driver's seat.
David Ozio trailing by 27. We're in Peoria, Illinois, which is home to Bradley University. Okay, here at Landmark Lanes, winner's been decided with a string of strikes and 2 spares and a strike at the very end for a 248. And David Ozio is just completing his game. He will finish 4th in the True Value Open. He has 3 strikes in the row, leaving the 4-7, and he has a score of 231. A good battle, fine performance by the loser as well. 248, 231. This ABC Sports presentation of the Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Strikes, Eugene McCune of Munster, Indiana, bowled a 248 to David Ozio's 231. Ozio, $8,000. Now, Bryan Goebel is next. Here's a future star, perhaps 14-year-old Chris Ferguson, who started bowling at age 6. His mother, Brenda, taught him. He had a 300 game on the pair of 47 and 48 and bowls 3 days a week as a good student. His current average is 185. Chris Ferguson, Bo, I think we have to remember that young man.
Well, at 14 years old, that's the same age that Pete Weber rolled to 300. Maybe he'll follow in his footsteps. Great career, hopefully, in front of him. Now, 2 young stars, especially Bryan Goebel. His stock is rising on the tour. And Eugene McCune, who has averaged close to 260 for his 4 games this week on the championship here. He should be loose. Fun to watch.
Here he is. Strike of the afternoon. Getting out game number 2 beautifully. Now here, Bryan Goebel, Merriman, Kansas. 6-footer, 165, 32 years old, 2 titles. Last one in 1991 in Riverside.
Same type of shot that we saw with David Ozio on this right-hand lane, as we see Bryan Goebel with that long, lanky style. 6 steps, very short at the start, then he extends out and accelerates through the shot. High backswing, he actually decelerates a little bit coming through. That's a no-no in the sport of bowling. You cannot decelerate that arm swing. You'll lose control of the ball. Now he has a tough spare.
Beginning with an open frame on a day, he wanted to make it highly successful. He needs to requalify for the General Tire Tournament of Champions.
Has improved his game a lot as he is growing on the tour. He bowled college at Kansas U. As you look at Eugene McCune handling that rosin, just make sure you don't get on your feet, buddy.
Great comeback.
The Kansas U bowler strikes in the 2nd.
Majored in English at KU in Lawrence, home of Haskell, too.
Last week it was the left-hand lane in the Bud Light Classic that gave Eugene trouble, but he looked down at his thumb, Chris. Something, as his sister, who's a pro bowler on the women's tour, looks on, something you have to watch with Eugene is that in between frames, he puts some cotton or collodion on his thumb. It splits open quite often, as his sister doesn't like that shot. He's doing it right now. And I don't know how he does that. It's actually a liquid, and it takes at least a minute to dry. So he's putting his hand in the ball. There it is right there. Putting his hand in the ball with it still partially dried. I don't know how he controls it, but obviously he's one of the top players in the world today. He can figure it out. Right now, after 2 frames, he trails by 4.
All but the 4 on the left lane.
See Eugene not sending the ball as wide as he did in the first game. Drifts high, almost leaves the 4, 6, 7, 10 again. Gets a terrific break and breaks down the 6-10. Has an easy 4-pin shot. Whew.
Now Bryan Goebel is back.
Goebel with a bigger hook than most of the players. He'll start the ball almost near the center, drift out around the first arrow, try to delay that hook, and then break it into the 1-3. He has the best carry of all the players, if indeed he gets it to the pocket.
All right, that's a double, increases his lead to 14. You know, tomorrow on ABC Sports, senior golf's top stars tee off as the United States challenges a stellar international field in the Chrysler Cup. Live coverage begins at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. Then, Pizza Hut College basketball takes center court as number 2 Duke hosts the 8th-ranked Temple Owls, all tomorrow on ABC Sports.
Bryan Goebel, 4th frame, 2 strikes working, can increase his lead to 24. Chris, this doesn't look like the speed they have on the ball that I saw here on Thursday and Friday. Most of the players were very aggressive with their speed. They're trying to be too accurate on a really nice scoring environment. A lot of shots drifting high, and they're paying maximum penalties for the high shots. Needs to get the ball to the left of the right of the 3-pin, drive the 3 into the 7. The ball will take out the 6-10. If he makes the spare, he'll retain his lead.
Beautifully done. 3, 6, 7, 10. Bryan Goebel of Merriman, Kansas. The wind chill has been very low the past few days, as typified by this look, Peoria.
6, 7, 10. Bryan Goebel makes it in the 4th frame to stay in the lead. And twice during the week, he hooked the ball too much and just took out the single 6-pin at the right time, opportune time. He converts it in the 4th frame to maintain his lead of 10 pins over Eugene McCune, who's now up on the right lane, a 4th frame spare working.
Don't forget, next week, back at our regular starting time of 3 Eastern.
The full grip of Eugene the Machine stretches it out and lets it happen, but he stays right underneath that ball. Great release.
Okay, Wisconsin's own Mark McDowell. Here he is.
Randy, you were kind of the forgotten man this week. Almost 300 pins ahead of 3rd place. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think that it would have been a good week for Norm to take off.
Yeah, he was pretty tough to keep up with, but you sure bowled well out there. You think you're going to keep it up today?
Well, we'll see what happens. I feel pretty good, and the lanes are, I think, are in good shape, so we'll see what happens.
Not to be slighted, Randy Pedersen.
Okay, Randy Pedersen, one of the clever, humorous professionals on tour.
Eugene McCune with 2 aggressive shots there evens the match. Bryan Goebel needs to loosen up, let that ball fly. The scoring environment's out there, and you're going to need strikes to win today.
You know, tonight, Rip Torn guests with Peter Falk as Columbo in Death Hits the Jackpot, starting at 8, 7 Central Time. Then, Today's Wife is in the wrong place at the wrong time. An all-new Commish tonight on ABC.
Bryan Goebel with his best shot of the match, as you see Eugene McCune once again working on that thumb. Goebel in the fifth frame accelerated through the shot. If he strikes here, he can regain his 10-pin lead. Must accelerate on the downswing.
If you just joined us, Eugene McCune defeated Davio's Ozio in the first game with 8 strikes, 248 to David's 231. Here's McCune. Double working. 6th frame already of the second game.
Right-hand lane, 2nd frame. Eugene McCune leaves the 4-6, 7-10. Once again, up in the 6th frame. Goes high, leaves the 4-6. He's quickly up on the approach. He's going to throw a bullet shot down there, try to bounce one out. Not to be, and he falls behind. Eugene just misses left to target. He's trying to throw the ball outside the second arrow. He gets it inside the second arrow. It breaks too early. Cuts right through the middle. Breaks down the 7 and 10, 4-6 remaining, and he's in trouble. Needs to throw some strikes. Trails by 24.
Okay, that strike in the 7th frame of our second game. He smiles. 3 300s this week and record-breaking scores, and he's the tournament leader. We'll see him a couple of games from now, game and a half from now.
The Duke of Earl. Well, he beat Earl Anthony for his first title. Somebody either wrote the song before or after. I think the song was written earlier, and he, in 1962, and Duke fulfilled it in later years. Now, Bryan Goebel up, 7th frame, leads by 24, double working.
All right, turning the screw a little bit tighter. 34 pins now separating the two pros.
Both these fellas, two of the best natural athletes we have on the tour. Both of them pitched baseball. Well, this man had a no-hitter in junior baseball, and Bryan Goebel pitched for the University of Kansas. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, played third base, hit 300, and he's in great position in the match. And here's his position on the approach. He's going to drift slightly towards the center. He's going to play the ball just inside the second arrow, and it's going to sweep out almost to the second board. He's playing the biggest hook, but he seems to have the best line on the pair.
He has nice things to say about reactive bowling balls, Bo.
Yes, he does. He felt that the new reactive resin bowling balls featured out to everybody basically on the tour have been his savior. He was leaving a lot of 10 pins a couple of years ago, has made the adjustment, has cashed 21 of the last 25 tournaments.
Oh, Eugene liked that one, running it out 2 or 3 lanes. I gave him a double. A glimmer.
Well, Chris, I think that's a good move. You know, you're really bowling against the pins and the lanes, but you have to keep your opponent awake, and he put it on Goebel right there, said, hey, I'm still in the match. If I throw a strike here, I'm coming after you. And it got Goebel's attention, but he has to nail it down with another one here in the 9th, or he's in big trouble. Okay, he sent his message to Bryan Goebel. It's up to Bryan to answer the challenge. He has a 24-pin lead. He can't play safe. He's just going at a 220 pace. McCune at a 220 pace. It's going down to the last couple of frames.
He's right back with one of his own. Tomorrow night begins on ABC with all new episodes of America's Funniest Hour, followed by Lois and Clark. Then the start of a world premiere miniseries event. James Reed and Leslie Ann Down had an all-star cast in Heaven and Hell, all tomorrow on ABC.
Bryan Goebel, 10th frame. He's in the driver's seat. Needs 9 pins on the first ball to secure this match. If he opens, McCune can still win. Something bothering him off the side. wise move at this point. You can't make a big mistake after coming this far. 42 games in the tournament and 9 frames in your first championship round match.
Bryan Goebel of Merriman, Kansas.
Well, Bryan salted this match away, but he's got Randy Pedersen coming up in the semifinal. Bryan with 2 more strikes will be 254. Eugene McCune has acquitted himself well today. Shot 248 in the first match and can take it off the sheet for 220, but that's not going to be enough in match 2. His lock-up shot in the 10th frame. Does he like this one? Hello. Finishing it out. 1 more strike. 254.
For Bryan Goebel. 10 strikes.
Chris, Eugene just never really had that right-hand lane. He's been high all day long, and even with the free shots, drifts high, leaves the 3-6-10. It's a mute point at this juncture.
Big game in the first with a 248 over Ozio's 231. So it's $10,000 for Eugene McCune, giving him a total of nearly $30,000 this year. 254 to 197. This week, Choice Hotels Tip of the Week features Dave Davis with a change in style.
ABC Sports presents a winning never gets old bowling tip. Brought to you by Quality, Comfort, Clarion, and Sleep Hotels.
With me is 18-time PBA champion with 4 major titles, and now on the senior tour, Dave Davis. Dave, what have you done over the years to maintain that tremendously powerful backswing?
Although 20 years ago, when we were a lot thinner, I did a lot of things differently. Used to hold the ball much lower, went down with the swing on the push away, went down toward the floor, pulled it into the backswing, kept the body up, and long knee bend in through the shot, long extension out onto the lane. 20 years later, when the muscles aren't quite as flexible as they were, hold the ball a little bit higher, switch from 4 steps to 5 steps. Still the long sweeping swing, but more out. Now long, down through, great knee bend, and out onto the lane once again.
Real good, Dave. Let's look at that again. What Dave has done to enhance the strong parts of his game, even as he's gotten older. First, he holds the ball up higher in the setup position. Dave has switched from 4 steps to 5 steps. The combination of these two has allowed him to maintain the exact same arm swing he had in his younger days. And finally, he hits that foul line nice and strong, so Dave, you're still a winner. And all of us know that winning never gets old.
Real battle for the titles. 2 games, 2 different winners. McCune 248, Ozio's 231. Bryan Goebel steps in, 10 strikes, shot at 254 to McCune's 197. Here is Gary Copinger, advertising manager of True Value, supported our series for so long. Great guys, and we're glad to have them here. And we're glad that next week we have the opportunity to go to Toledo, but here in Peoria, though, the size of the field was huge and a lot of action.
You can see the scores and the numbers there, Chris. 228, that's awfully high, but that's the history here at the True Value. And there's the old man of bowling, the Bank of Dickinson, finishing 6th. Our host on the sidelines, Mark McDowell. Justin Romick having a good year. I'll be always there. Del Ballard Jr., U.S. Open champion, closing in on $1 million. Steel Smith says his shoulder's fine. Roger Bowker, one of the well-conditioned players out here on the tour. David Carter, a USA team player. The Beef, Brian Voss and Phil Ringener round out the top 24. And next week, as you said, Chris, the national championship over Daryl Ducat's Imperial Lanes.
We're back to our regular starting time at 3 p.m. Eastern. The following week, then, we go to North Brunswick, New Jersey for the Johnny Petraglia Open. And that, again, will be a tremendous championship. It's where Johnny taught Michael J. Fox how to bowl. And here are two that could teach all of us a few things. Randy Pedersen steps in now as the number 2 seed, going against a red-hot Bryan Goebel, who had 10 strikes in his 254 victory.
Bryan, who just missed both baseball and basketball scholarships at KU and made it on the bowling team, stayed with Bob Glass's KU bowling team for 1 year, and then turned pro in his sophomore year in the semifinal match.
Well, there you get another look at the 4, 6, 7, 10.
Chris, we've seen it for 6 weeks up here. Perceivably, a player slows down his ball speed somewhere after taking a little break and makes a mistake high. It's happened many times, and I think that a player really needs to address that bowling on the championship round.
So, as I recall, he had an open at the beginning of his first game here, and then came on like gangbusters. Okay, whereas 31-year-old Randy Pedersen of Hollywood, Florida, starts in perfect style.
Randy, who has a high backswing, must wait for his swing. He's one of the players who's really a timing player and lets the swing fall very free. And look at that position. That's what I'd like to see all the young junior players out there work on. Stay underneath that ball. Let your hook be natural. Randy did it perfectly in the first frame.
So the native of California crosses over and leaves the 5-9.
The left-hand lane, when you get it inside that second arrow, seems to just absolutely jump across the head pin. Look at that ball make a left turn down there at the 5-9 spare. You got to avoid the chop of the 5 off the 9. It's really an unusual shot for a pro to shoot this, and it can be difficult with the big hook.
Just does. 9 titles for this man in his 13-year professional career.
Bryan Goebel qualified 24th, tied for 23rd and 24th, and if he happened to win today, would be the 13th player to come from last to first in a PBA tournament. Right now, second frame, he trails by 12.
Well, like his previous game, an open and a strike.
He's improved his game in so many ways over the past 3 years. He used to loft the ball, actually chunk it out over the lane, and when lanes were very dry or in the evening, he would score well, but when they were oily in the morning, he always had a little bit of trouble. He's changed that, is much smoother with his release, uses the full grip in the ball. 6 feet, 165 pounds, wraps that hand completely around it. Right now can cut the lead to 2 pins with a strike in the third.
Okay. Questionable double, but it's on the sheet. On the sheet.
All right, he's drifted high in the first frame, got a split, made a slight adjustment, gets a great break off the sideboard as the 2-pin trips out the 4. He'll still have to make another adjustment as Randy Pedersen comes up.
Oh, Randy answers that double. Can he do it now with the next frame being the 4th here at Landmark Lanes, Peoria, Illinois?
The man who started as a junior league bowler at age 8, averaged only 93, has made quite a few improvements since then. Trays the pretty good size hook, starts over to the left side of the approach. He's even going to drift to the left, and even as tight as these lanes are, he'll still be in that area.
So the 5 handicap golfer leaves a 7-pin.
Pretty good shot after adjusting for that 5-9. Ozio started the very first shot of the telecast with that 5-9 on the left-hand lane. Seemed to upset him. Randy has a little work to do. If he can hit that lane, he should be very tough in the last 6 frames.
Okay. Very close semifinal game. The winner to meet Norm Duke here in Peoria. This city is a river city, and this is the Illinois River. We return to snow-covered Peoria, Illinois. And this is Bryan Goebel in his second game after a 254 to 191 victory over Eugene McCune. He's facing Randy Pedersen. 2-pin lead, spare up, shooting in the 5th. True Value Open. Okay, let's go down to Mark McDowell.
Norm, you absolutely blew up the PBA record book this week. I heard you say that you thought you could bowl better than that. Do you really believe that?
Well, yeah, I mean, all the elements were conducive to high scores and stuff, and it doesn't mean that you out-bowled everybody. You know, you have the right ball, and you've been here for 10 years, and all the adjustments seem to be just second nature. So, yeah, I could have executed better, but I don't think that the numbers would have gotten any bigger.
Back to you.
It's not how, it's how many.
And that is 4 strikes in a row for a man who had the surgery on his eye to correct nearsightedness. I think I better get it because he did not have a spare up. He had a 3-bagger, and he's got 4 now.
And he's gotten 2 good breaks on this left-hand lane. Tripping the 4-pin with that big a hook is unusual. He drives the 9 out. He's in great shape. Randy Pedersen, who's been perfect on the right-hand lane, must try to maintain the pace. You know what, Chris? I saw something there. The ball looked like one to break, and then it slid out. And the PBA lane maintenance crews informed me that they put like 2 zones on the lane this week, and Randy was playing it to the inside zone, and he went out to the outside zone, and it slid by. So he has to get to the left of the 2-pin and slide it over into the 10.
No avail. Randy Pedersen had his first victory in the AC Doco Classic in Union City, California, and his last was in Fresno in '93.
Randy, once again, of the 4 other players in the championship round, is the only one playing what we call the inside zone, and he got caught between those 2 zones last frame.
Randy was our last King of the Hill. He was 2-0. King of the Hill matches defeating George Branham in Fresno and Steve Fields in Seattle.
And this type of lane condition is something that the average bowler at home will never, ever see, in my opinion. It's actually strips of lane. In other words, there's a dry area, an oil area, dry area. That's in order to allow players to play multiple angles to the pocket, and they feel that equality is established this way. Goebel in the driver's seat, 32-pin lead.
Okay. Great precision by here, the money leaders for '94, Norm Duke, followed closely by Walter Ray Williams, Hoskins, Pete Weber, and Andrew Nair, who won last week. And the average is very high, 227.
You're right, Chris. That's about all you can say about it. 221, Norm Duke, who's our tournament leader. But that's only after the Bud Light Classic last week with his fabulous 248 average for 42 games this week. Probably will leap him into the #1 position. Goebel could take the match to 52-pin lead with a strike in the 7th. He's gotten some good breaks on this lane.
6 in a row for Bryan Goebel. That puts his lead out to 52 pins. He is hot. Not so outside. The snow that fell in Peoria this week offered pleasure to at least a few. Popular general manager of Landmark Recreation Senate is also vice president, Doug Holmes.
All right, in our semifinal match, 7th frame, Randy Pedersen, strike working.
Well,
Could have used a break there, Chris.
Yes.
If he had struck out, he could have had a 236 right now with a spare and take it off the sheet, as we have a slight malfunction with the machine. Hey, Randy, very personable guy. He looks at it. He says, hey, it's a strike. All right, we'll set it up. They need to reset the 6-pin. Obviously, you can't be aided by any of the machinery in the pinfall. Right now, Randy, let's give him the spare, the 6-pin, and strikeout will be 216. Bryan Goebel going at a 230 pace. So something good has to happen for Randy, and disaster would have to strike Bryan Goebel here in the semifinal.
Owner of a pro shop in West Hollywood Lanes in Florida, wife Becky, a beauty salon operator called Headlines, and 13,000 will go with Randy's effort this week. Not what he wanted, however. Great form. 9 titles.
Well, it's not dead yet. I tell you, Bryan Goebel has a history of having disastrous frames. He has that slow, methodical delivery, and he can perform well, and then all of a sudden get a big 5-pin split or something, as you see the 25-second clock. And he's going to be very close. If he doesn't get that approach moving within 25 seconds, it'll be $100.
First 3 steps are really deliberate. 8-pin.
Sends it out wide. At one point has the 2, 4, 5, 7, 8 standing. Watch this. There they are over in the left-hand corner. A big cluster there. The 2-pin and the head pin do some damage, and he ends up with a simple spare, the 8.
And the stalker as marked again.
We saw that clock almost go to the end there. Obviously, he had 2 seconds left when he started his approach, so there's no fine. I think that's the last thing he's worrying about right now, is he wants to just secure this match. 51-pin lead. Something strange would have to happen for Pedersen to get back in the match.
Like that?
Well, I think I was 1 frame early in jinxing him. That is the shot that I said I've seen Bryan Goebel come up with before. He throws that slow, big hook, and right now he can either take a choice of going to the right and sliding some over, or go to the left and kick them out. It's an if-and shot. Right now, I would go for the 3 pins to hold the pin count in the match. Smart move right here.
All right.
Okay, now this sets up a situation where Randy Pedersen can win the match, Chris. He must strike on the next 3 balls to put the pressure on Bryan Goebel. This is a must shot right here.
He's on the right lane, left of center, ready. Mark of a professional.
Well, he's just been hitting the rear end with a bolt of lightning. Sitting on the bench, he was contemplating what the 3rd place check must be, and now he still has an outside chance to win the tournament. He has to strike on this ball. This is the semifinal game. He can put the pressure on Goebel. What inopportune time to leave a solid 10. That's the first real tap we've had today. Randy Pedersen could have bailed it out, but not to be. Bryan Goebel, who gave him a little glimmer of light, closes the door with a solid 10. Randy Pedersen, bad luck. Randy's just had such a fabulous 1994. Glad to see him back up in the top 5. Sometimes you get lost out here on the tour when you're 8th, 9th, 10th, but he's striking it big again, and once again another solid 10, but a good performance, having a good year.
This was his 19th telecast. People often ask, well, what would their average be? His 19 TV shows 221, for instance, okay? Next Saturday, Bowling's best aim to take the title when they head to Toledo for the first jewel in their sports Triple Crown. It's the PBA National Championship next Saturday on our regular time, 3 Eastern and Pacific, 2 Central, ABC Sports.
Bryan Goebel just finishing up. 2 of the most likable young men right there in the semifinal, Bryan and Randy. Randy kind of rooting him good luck in the championship game. Possible 230 for Goebel, who needs to qualify by winning this tournament or one of the other tournaments remaining before the General Tire Tournament of Champions Series late in April. If he would happen to win today, he would knock out Bob Vespi. That's a 52-man field at the General.
Week of a 14-stop tour in America. Bryan Goebel shoots a 230 to Pedersen's 194. And this ABC Sports presentation will continue after these messages. Well, the Kansan, Bryan Goebel, has won 2 games now, which vaults him into the final against Norm Duke. There you see McCune winning the first, then losing the second to Goebel. And Pedersen was another loser to Goebel, 230 to 194. So, week after week, we've been asking you to send us videos of an amazing, a humorous, or funny video of you bowling, doing something in the game of bowling. Well, they've started to roll in, and we have one this week to show you that you're going to love, because it features a fellow, an amazing young man who bowls out of Ventura near his hometown of Oxnard, California. Emmanuel Squeak Manson. All 6 feet 5 inches of him. Now, he recently had an amazing 3-game series in which he followed up back-to-back 300 games with a 244 for a total of 844. Can he loft the ball or not? Look at the size. Well, a lot of touring pros have been gladly settled for that level of performance. Congratulations, Squeak, and we hope, please send us videos, not letters. Well, you can write us too, but the main thing is the video. Something unusual in your game of bowling. Here's the address, Bowling Videos, Ansonia Station, Post Office Box 1800, New York, New York, 10023, 1800. All right. Norm Duke is there. And so is Bryan Goebel. Don't forget the fact he's hot. He's warmed up now. He's had a total of 19 strikes.
We've given you the domination of Duke in the tournament. He was 576 pins ahead of Bryan Goebel. Now they're dead even. This is the championship game. It's all on the line. 1 game.
And the first time he started with a strike. He had 2 opens in his previous 2 games. Now, the amazing Norm Duke, Edmond, Oklahoma, native of Texas. Like he never quit bowling last night, though, where he shot at 299.
He had 3 300s and 2 299s, and look at this style, a 6.5 step delivery. Look at those eyes riveted. The key, watch him pull that left arm back as the right shoulder comes through and stays directly underneath the ball, solid on balance at the line. Look at those stats. Right now, he's just even with 9 frames left in the tournament.
The 10 pin on the left lane for the 29-year-older, 5'5", 123 pounds.
The low angle, Duke doesn't quite get the finish that he wants on this left-hand lane. The 6 pin just doesn't quite bump out the 10. Once again, is one of the greatest players in the game today. Excellent spare shooting technique, cuts that hook down to almost nothing, goes straight across lane.
Last year's ABC Masters champion in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
A three-sport star in college right here up on the approach has a chance to take the early lead.
So the man that hasn't won since May of 1991 has a double and leads by 10. Now the clock starts. Three, 20-pin lead.
Chris, he talked about his reactive resin ball being just a bonanza for him, and that is true on that shot as the ball just rolled out solid in the pocket for 3 in a row.
So Norm has his second in 3 frames.
Duke with just a little bit more power on the right-hand lane, pops the 10 out. This is the shot he was looking for in the second frame. You see the 6 do a little damage on the 10 there in the right-hand corner. Duke with just ideal style. Let's just draw some straight lines. You don't have to draw circles for this guy. Right to the foul line, everything in position.
Norm Duke putting them there. Championship game. The trophy, plus 43,000. It is a wonderful bowling establishment in Peoria, Illinois. Landmark Lanes, where Bryan Goebel, who's won 2 matches, is in the final against the incredible Norm Duke.
Here's the frame that most of the players have struggled with this season. That little delay coming up in the 4th frame. Let's see if Goebel gets very aggressive, makes a good long follow through to make the ball set up.
A 4-bagger.
Bryan Goebel, one of the most disciplined players on the PBA Tour. Here's his line on the left-hand lane. He's playing the big hook similar to Norm Duke, trying to stay right inside the second arrow, swinging out almost to the edge and kind of letting the ball roll out in the 1-3 pocket. He's perfect through 4.
Through 5. Though, I often comment how bowling is fun for people of all sizes, and it certainly isn't a disadvantage to be 5 feet 5 inches tall.
No, not like Norm Duke. The lower you can get to the lane and still have a full swing, I think it's an advantage because there's just less room for error and less bounce on the ball.
Look at that. Here, the True Value Open is indicated 15 times, and look at the people, the pros that have won this championship. Some of the great names in the game: Brian Voss, Walter Ray, Ted Hannes. Look at that twice.
Right now, Norm Duke, who trails by 20, has only missed in 1 frame. The second frame, he left a 10-pin, can cut the lead to 10.
Okay. 5 in a row, and Bryan Goebel, who won 2 games, 254 to 191 and 230 to 194, going against this young man. 6 frame. Now, he can do 6 more. This is a True Value Open. He will not get $100,000, but because it's a true value, they have doubled it to $200,000.
Wow. No stranger to big strings of strike. Bryan Goebel in Japan 2 years ago bowled 299 on TV. So he's been to that 11 in a row zone in a championship round. Right now he's got the front 6.
Has come to the game.
Don't count Norm Duke out.
I'm just sorry he had a spare in the second frame. Nothing like a double whammy.
Well, the man that set all the records here still is in the championship match. If he strikes here, he's right on pace.
Right.
Confident, versatile Norm Duke.
It's like the easiest thing in the world to do.
Well, between Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Norm Duke out here, the way they're bowling, and Pete Weber with his early run in the season, it's like there's no room for anybody. But Bryan Goebel, who is perfect through 7, has something to say about that. This is the championship match, 13th True Value Open. Bryan needs a win to qualify for the General Tire Tournament of Champions.
Becker, who's president of the lanes, is just delighted with the great scores this week. Nelson, why not?
Well, they threw a wonderful party last night, too.
There she is.
Some of the ABC right over Ryan Goebel's right shoulder with ABC, and I'm sure she's delighted to see Bryan have the first 8 and Norm Duke with all strikes in 7 out of 8 frames. This is the championship match.
Of Kansas graduate Jerry Thompson of True Value is right over the shoulder on the right of your screen. He's marketing director of True Value.
I'll tell you what, he must have slipped in his approach. The guy is so strong, Chris, you won't believe it, at 5 feet 5. Just took his time. This is so hard to do. I tell you what, to be committed to a shot and then quit. We're off a little bit here, took a little bit of time. Remember, he crosses over the foul line, but it's not a foul if you don't release the ball. The one thing he has to watch about is he got oil on his bowling shoes, and he might stick on this shot.
I got oil on my shoe.
See, Chris, that's exactly what he said. He has oil on my shoe. Take your time, Norm. Pay the $100 fine for 25 seconds. He can still win the match. We're all talking about Bryan Goebel with 9 in a row, a possible $200,000. Norm Duke can strike out for $280 and actually force Goebel to strike. Match is far from over, but Duke has to keep striking.
Both heels off the approach before he starts. Just incredible. 23-pound champion.
Well, he's an action player. Norm Duke is like a gunslinger in the old days. He'll walk into a bowling lanes, and his saying is, if you got the money, I got the time, and he can prove it. Right now, he's proven it in the championship match. He can still win despite 9 in a row by Bryan Goebel. Well, we had Mike Albee and David Ozio in Wichita last year with the all-time record championship match, 300 to 279. These two players can eclipse that if they both continue to strike. The final could be 300 to 280, but it's not over. Duke's still in it.
And Karen, when he married January 2nd, knows about his tenacity. Eating it up. He loves it.
Chris, this ball forces the hand of Bryan Goebel to win the tournament. Almost forget about the $200,000 for a perfect game. If he does that, obviously he wins the tournament. But if Duke strikes, he forces Goebel to strike on his first shot.
Spare, 280. They talk about pressure on Olympians like Nancy Kerrigan.
Chris, I've never seen a bigger shot in my 20 years sitting next to you. This man needs to throw a strike to win a tournament in 3 for $200,000. Here we go. He secured $43,000 with that shot. The next 2 shots, if they're strikes, make it $243,000.
Okay. Just one. O-N-E. 33 years, Bo. And this is the match. They're standing, they're hugging, 296 to 280. 670 or 576. Wow. So it's 43,000. We'll talk to him in a moment.